Warning, incoming game over. Warning, incoming game over.
So that was something. That was allegedly a hockey game, allegedly a game that the Toronto Maple Leafs played in, and definitely a loss, definitely an embarrassment. And I'll be honest, guys, I do not have that much to say about it, unfortunately. But welcome in to Game Over Toronto following yet another Leafs loss 5-2 to the New Jersey Devils on Tuesday night here. My name is Zach Payne. I'll be your host for this evening's show. And I have a feeling this is going to be a shorter one because, like I said, I really don't have that much to say. I had a big rant on Saturday where I talked about how soft this team was. I talked about how this team doesn't have the passion that, we always talk like as fans, like, do you have the passion? The team very does not. And after that game, we spent a lot of time talking about how Anthony Stolarz called out the team's performance and challenged them to be better, to play harder, make life more difficult on the opposing goalie. And Craig Berube said that they had to clean things up in front of their own net. And I am not pleased to report that none of those things happened. There was two options for the Leafs. One was actually answer the call and play up to their potential and play a lot better and against a good New Jersey team, but a New Jersey team that's hardly known for their toughness, and come out with a purpose, with intensity, get to the net, get in on the forecheck, make life miserable for the other team, and have a big bounce back win. Or the other option, the one that the Leafs chose, change nothing, play the same, or even worse, arguably, and lose again. It was bad. And we're going to talk about it. If you're new here, then in the first period, we are going to just do a game recap. Simple, matter of fact, what happened in this game. Second period, we'll get into the more high-level story. Third period, we get into a second storyline that we should follow. And then we have a Q&A segment at the end. Like I said, would not be shocked if this is a 30-minute show or less because what is there to say? We said everything we needed to say on Saturday night, so we're going to be repeating a few things, but regardless, let's just talk about the game. So, coming out in the first period, I really was not I was not that interested in this game. I was like, unless the Leafs are going to play with passion and intensity, I really do not care about this game. And it was like 3-4 minutes in, and I'm like, yeah, nothing's changed. It took 3 minutes for me to clock this as nothing has changed because the Leafs 4 minutes into the game had not even tried to lay one hit. I don't think they had a shot on goal in the first 4 minutes, and I at that point, 4 minutes into the game, 3 or 4 minutes into the game, I sat back. I was like, yeah, okay. And as a fan, we have moments that we're on the edge of our seats. We have games that maybe we're a little bit more excited about, and then we have those games in the regular season where we're laid back. We just kind of watch. And that was one of these for me. I was very laid back. I was very apathetic, and that's going to be a word I use later. It just wasn't good. Now, ironically, like 2 minutes after I was like, okay, the Leafs just don't have it, they score. On a play, John Tavares, funny enough, I will shout out, Matias Maccelli was randomly the best at going to the net tonight, which is not what I expected, but Maccelli and Tavares both go to the net. Tavares bangs home a rebound off a point shot, gets the Leafs on the board, 1-0, and the rest of the first period, the Devils were definitely taking it to the Leafs a little bit. The Leafs really struggled with the speed of guys like Jesper Bratt and Jack Hughes. Jack Hughes obviously having a hat trick in this game that we'll talk about. And the Devils were just routinely circling the Leafs zone, routinely beating them in transition, routinely outracing them to pucks. And it was a problem all night. The Leafs had no answer for the Devils' speed in this one. Now, in the first period, the Leafs survive, and they get to the intermission up 1-0. And I remember saying to myself, the second period might be a problem because we know the Leafs are not a good second period team. We know they struggle with the long change because they're a little slow. And when teams have a lot of speed, they're able to exploit the Leafs a lot better in the second period when they can trap them in the offensive zone for long periods of time. So lo and behold, it took 5 minutes for the Devils to go from down 1-0 to up 3-1 through a series of mishaps. Now, a minute 27 in, the Jack Hughes is going to be the one to get the Devils on the board on a play where, same thing, like him and Jesper Bratt are just circling the outside. And I might actually pull this up, the goal visualizer, for you guys to see. So that, because I think it's important. Let's see, can we do this? Because this visual is very funny. I'm just going to put it up for a second. So if you guys look, hold on, one moment, bear with me. So if you guys look here at this visual, the puck is in the corner with Jesper Bratt. Jack Hughes, who's going to score this goal, is all the way at the point, and all 5 Leafs are packing the middle of the ice. In theory, the Leafs are in a decent spot here. The Devils are not very threatening right now. 1 second later, we have a problem. Both Austin Matthews and Matt Nyes have now attacked Jesper Bratt. Jack Hughes has darted towards the middle, and suddenly there's 2 guys attacking one guy who doesn't have the puck. Hughes is going to get this puck in the slot, and there's no one on him. And so now over here you have 3 Leafs on 2 Devils players who don't have the puck and are away from the play. Tanev is battling a guy in front, pushing him in towards Anthony Stolarz, and Max Domi is now in no man's land because he was covering Luke Hughes, and he had to come to the middle to try to do something, and that puck ends up in the back of the net. It is just simply not acceptable for the Leafs to behave like this. There's no danger, and then 1 second later, there's a lot of danger, and it wasn't even a particularly threatening look from Hughes, but when you have traffic in front and you don't do your job clearing the front of the net, shots like that are going to go in. Now, that is the one goal I will give Anthony Stolarz a little bit of grace on. He was not good in this game, which is funny because he's the one who called the team out on Saturday and his performance fell off. He had such a bipolar game because he made a number of good saves in this one, and then he'd follow it up with just getting beat clear. We'll talk about it in a little bit. So this play, this Jack Hughes goal, goes in, and Craig Berube challenges for goalie interference. And you look at the replay, and I have no idea what Craig Berube or the Leafs video room saw, because there's not really any contact. Like, yes, the guy's in the crease, kind of forced there by Chris Tanev. There's no contact. There's no goalie interference. It was a horrible challenge from the get-go. And of course it doesn't work. Like, the Devils' goal stands, and now the Leafs go to the penalty kill. On the penalty kill, they were doing an okay job, but the puck behind the net, they just weren't able to clear it, and then the Devils get set up again, and then a shot, rebound, goal. Like, it's simple hockey that the Devils were playing, and it was super effective because the Leafs just were not able to match them. And then a short while later, the Leafs in the offensive zone, the 4th line is on the ice in the offensive zone. And a very rare situation, I think I'll bring up the goal visualizer once again here in a second, because a very rare situation arose where Jake McCabe pinches, runs into Steven Lorentz, and as a result, I'm just going to put this visual up. As a result, the Devils get a 4-on-1. A 4-on-1 rush. I have no words to describe this. Obviously a bad pinch by Jake McCabe, but no one felt like doing anything. And Stolarz gets beat clean by Brendan Dillon from the high slot, and the Devils take a 3-1 lead. And at that point, I was like, okay, game's over. Like, at that point, I was like, cool, the Leafs are not going to do anything in this game, because not only have they looked horrible, they're also not getting key saves. Like, again, Stolarz made some good saves in this one, but he didn't bail them out. He hardly bailed them out. Honestly, this kind of felt like the series against the Panthers, where Joseph Woll was fine, I guess, but he matched the level of play that the Leafs gave him, the Leafs played in front of him. The Leafs were bad in this one. Stolarz was bad in this one. He matched their energy. And when the goalie matches the bad energy that the team has, you're not going to have a good night. You're not going to have a good night. Now, admittedly, at this point, I was like, game's over. There's no shot. There was a slight flicker of hope when William Nylander, on a 2-on-1, makes a beautiful backhand pass to Matias Maccelli, who has just an empty net, not even anyone in the vicinity of him, and he buries his first as a Leaf. And when I say no one in the vicinity, that includes Jake Allen. There was no one there. So Matias Maccelli, he gets his first as a Leaf. Good for him, even though it came in a game that, stunk. Great pass by Nylander, who picks up 2 more points, because why not? Nylander has been the king at racking up points while looking kind of bad. Good night for John Tavares as he's creeping closer to 500 goals, so good for him. And the Leafs make it 3-2. Unfortunately, the Devils continued to run the show. They were just circling the Leafs all night. And then towards the end of the period, the Leafs get a 3-on-2 rush with the top line, Domi, Matthews, and Nyes. And on that rush, Domi sends a horrible pass straight to the Devils, turns it over as Oliver Ekman-Larsson has jumped up in the play to try to get some offense, and then the Devils are able to come the other way. Jack Hughes gets a partial break, uncorks a slap shot that beats Anthony Stolarz. That one is an inexcusable one for Stolarz to give up. I gave him a break on the one where he's screened. And then between the 4-on-1 and the rebound on the power play, you'd like him to at least have one of them. This one can't go in ever. It's a slap shot from like 40 feet out, and it beats him over the pad under the blocker. Just not a good goal to give up for Stolarz. And that makes it 4-2. And in the third period, come on. I'm going to bring up the advanced stats. I haven't looked at these. I would be shocked if the Leafs had more than 2 high danger chances in the third period, including the power play that they had. All situations. Oh, wow. They had 3. My bad, guys. They had 3. They had 1 at 5-on-5. They credited the Leafs with 2 extra high danger chances on that power play. At 5-on-5, in a third period where they were losing, the Leafs had fewer expected goals than the Devils, fewer high danger chances, and they only had a 37% shot attempts share. Pathetic. Jack Hughes adds an empty netter, gets the hat trick, his 3rd career hat trick. Good for Jack Hughes. He had a very nice game. The Leafs, inexplicable. It was beyond comprehension how bad it was. And they lose 5-2. And the vibes are at not an all-time low, but they are about as low as they can be this early in the season, considering they managed to win 3 games. It's not good, man. With that being said, I'm going to turn us over to our second period. As a reminder, let's try that again. Just a reminder to hit that like button and subscribe with notifications turned on. We are live after every single Toronto Maple Leafs game, and you can follow the Game Over Network on social media if you feel like supporting us any further. Our Patreon is in the description. You can get access to our Discord server to come hang out and talk hockey with some like-minded people. And, oh boy. I just saw a quote. Oh no. Oh dear God. Did Stolarz really say that? Anthony Stolarz just came out and said, I thought we did a lot of good things tonight. Where? What were you watching? Where? Did they censor him? I hope not. I hope they didn't tell him to say that. Oh, by the way, I should also mention, Chris Tanev left this game with an upper body injury. That's also horrible. So the Leafs defense loses their best shutdown defenseman in this one as well. It was just all kinds of horrible to kick this one off. But this second period, I just want to talk about something with you guys. And I don't know if this is a fair representation. But I'm kind of just going to explain how I'm feeling right now. And you guys can tell me if you are feeling a similar way or just how you feel about the Leafs in general. Because I was racking my brain trying to figure out how to put into words what I feel about the Leafs this season and how to describe the Leafs overall this season. And the best I can figure, the best word that I can use to describe the Toronto Maple Leafs this season is apathy. apathy. And not just from me. Look, I feel very apathetic towards the Leafs to start the year most years because there's a lot of other sports going on, like it's football season and the Leafs are never that good in October, and hockey is, I take a long time to get into full hockey brain anyways, so I'm usually apathetic this time of year. However, I felt especially apathetic and like I didn't care going into this one. And then the Leafs put forth that effort, and I realized that I'm not crazy. The Leafs are apathetic. They didn't care in training camp. They were going through the motions. There was a reason that guys like Dakota Joshua stuck out at Leafs training camp this year, because the big guys didn't care. You watch those preseason games, they were brutal because the Leafs did not care. They were just going through the motions. So then you start the season and the Leafs are going through the motions. They're not necessarily putting their best foot forward, and they're losing games that are very winnable as a result. They're getting outworked by every team that they play against, and they've looked generally horrible because they don't care. And obviously they care, right? Like they want to win every night. But their effort doesn't look like a team that wants to win every night. For as much as these guys are competitors and they're professional athletes and they're capable of doing great things, they just haven't looked like they have that drive. So the Leafs don't care. The Leafs are apathetic, which means the fans are apathetic. The Leafs played that horrible game on Saturday, and I got mad. I went on a little rant. I didn't see that much from Leafs Twitter. I saw the media trying to spin that narrative about how the Leafs are whatever. I didn't see that many fans engaging with it because the fans are busy. The Blue Jays are going to the World Series. Toronto sports fans have better things to worry about right now than the Leafs looking bad in October. And so they are just not paying attention. They'll watch a Leafs game and be like, oh, the Leafs lost. Oh, well, who cares? Because there's better things going on in the world. There's better things happening in Toronto sports. So why would a casual Toronto sports fan care right now? They shouldn't. The Leafs aren't giving them any reason to. The Blue Jays are giving them plenty of reasons not to care about the Leafs. And it's just not a good product right now. So you have a team that doesn't care. Now you have the fans that don't care. And pretty soon we're going to get to a point where the media won't care. Now the media doesn't really care anyways. They just they're just trying to do their jobs. But when the media stops caring, which at this rate is going to happen soon, we're going to get to a point where the Leafs are going to slowly become an afterthought until they start to play better. The longer the Leafs play like this, the less relevant they are, and the less we need to talk about it. Because if they don't want to play well, what's there to talk about? We talked about everything that they need to change on Saturday. They didn't change it tonight. End of story. They looked bad. They looked bad. They got outworked, out-hustled by a smaller team than them. You can't be losing that many board battles against a team that's that much smaller than you. Yes, you can get outskated because the Devils are very fast. Inexcusable to get outworked by them, though. Guys like Dakota Joshua, what is your purpose? You are huge and you're not using your size. What is your purpose? Nick Waugh, he had a good couple of games to start the year. Since then, what is your purpose? Matthew Nyes is trying. Austin Matthews, you have not been using your size to win board battles enough, and you have not taken over a game. You haven't even taken over a period at any stretch this season. You've still not beaten a goalie in 7 games. Your 4 goals are 2 empty netters and 2 tap-ins on an empty net. William Nylander, for as much as he's racking up points, he has not taken over a game yet. What are we doing here? And the defense doesn't look good. I'm trying not to be too doom and gloom, but oh my lord, this team just doesn't have it right now. Remember when the Raptors under Dwayne Casey were good, but essentially everyone checked out until playoffs? About that. Certainly feels that. And look, there's something to be said about the Leafs being too comfortable, right? The Leafs have the longest playoff streak in the entire National Hockey League. Things are different. The Leafs are not as skilled as they were last year. They're not. The Leafs changed a lot of their roster. Part of that was because Mitch Marner left, and they brought in some more physical players that were less skilled, but the idea was they're going to use their size, physicality, and they were going to be a tougher team to play against. Instead, the Leafs are just a worse version of what they were last year so far. Which is, and that team won the division. This team should still make the playoffs, but man, not the way they're playing the last couple of games. The game against the Rangers that they only won because of Stolarz. You've got the Seattle game you lose in overtime, and this game was horrible. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? So, it really just feels like this team is checked out right now. And it's causing me to get checked out as a fan. And I know I'm not alone. It's causing the fans to be completely checked out. It just does it. It's just not working. Time for a new leadership group. Maybe it's... the thing is, like, Matthews has been the most fiery when he's yelling at the officials, which is so out of character for him anyways. He needs to take over a game. I don't know what's wrong with him. By all accounts, he's healthy. So what's the problem? I have no idea what it is. I have no way to explain it because it's so out of character. Matthews in the regular season is usually a top 3 to 5 player in the NHL. And so far this season, he just hasn't been it. And don't you dare say anything about Mitch Marner because it's not that. We've seen him take over games on his own before. I just don't get it. And look, you guys can posit as many theories as you want. There's just no explanation. He just simply has not been good enough. Thank you. I want to say Galen. Is that how you pronounce that name? Thank you for the comment, by the way. And welcome in. Pyrugob? I think that's just checking in to say GG. Something kind of missing with you guys. Matthews and Co. letting you guys down. You guys deserving better. They're certainly letting us down, but I can't say I'm surprised. And that's the worst part. 8 of you in here, by the way. Feel free to hit like and subscribe to Game Over Toronto. It takes 2 seconds, helps us grow. So if we're talking about Matthews and Nylander specifically, because there's kind of two sections here. There's Matthews and Nylander at the top. Then under them is Knies and Tavares, who are kind of the second, like the really good players that can take over a game, but you don't rely on them as much. Tavares has been fine. He's been perfectly fine. He's trying. And Matthew Knies can't drive. He shouldn't be tasked with driving the top line. And he can't. It's just up. It's as simple as it is. It is up to Austin Matthews, who is a player that we have so many years of evidence that he is able to do this. And I have no, maybe it might just be as simple as Matthews and Nylander didn't take training camp seriously enough and they're getting up to 100% and they're just really behind because they didn't try hard enough in camp. Would be a horrible look, but at this point I'm hoping that's the case, because otherwise the other explanation is you just suck, which I know isn't true. So I don't know how to explain it. I don't know. I want to see. Okay. Hold on. I'm trying to see quotes. There hasn't been any quotes coming out. I'm waiting for Berube to speak, but anyways. Josh ACM, I'm so sick and tired of talking about what's wrong with this team and how to fix it. Sick and tired. I get it, man. I'm sick and tired of watching this. I'm sick and tired of watching the same problems persist. Just game after game, where we as fans can see clear as day what the problem is. The Leafs themselves will say the right things in the media, and then they will turn around and not do it in the game. So, is what it is. Last year, you guys looked excellent against us. Great forceful play, but something is definitely up to start the season. But you guys are already checked out. Super mysterious because, as you said, Matthews is a game-making guy, but out there, third, fourth liner. He's not looked good. And I also want to talk about this. And this is more about that forceful play. The Leafs' forecheck is so bad. And One of the reasons, and this is such a stupid reason for your forecheck to be bad, because the Leafs have the bodies. They aren't fast, but once you get into the forecheck, speed doesn't matter as much. The Leafs are so underratedly bad at dumping the puck in. And I know on the surface, you're going to be like, Zach, what are you talking about? The Leafs outshoot their forecheck on the dump in too much. They'll fire it low off the boards. It'll bounce off, go right to the defender, chip off the boards and out. Or skate around the net and out. Or, like, the Leafs are so bad at lofting it in to time it so that the puck gets there as the forecheck gets there so that the defender has a split second to make a decision. That never happens. The defender always has a second to make a decision, skate the puck out himself, and just clear the zone. Because the Leafs shoot it in too aggressive. Like the dump in is too aggressive, and it's too fast, and they don't time it well, and the forecheck is horrible as a result. Once guys like Joshua and Waugh get in on the forecheck when it's timed properly, they actually are fairly effective. Bobby McMahon, too, I'll give him credit. McMahon also tried to start some stuff in this game. Bobby McMahon I've actually liked the last couple of games. He's the only one. And the Leafs are I don't know how to explain why the Leafs are bad at that. That is such a silly thing to be horrible at the NHL level. You should know better. But it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. Matthews not captain material. I want to argue. I can't right now. And look, this could all be solved Friday. On Friday against Buffalo, Matthews could come out, have a hat trick, and just drag the team by over his shoulder by himself. It's totally within the realm of possibility. However, the one thing that we know about the Toronto Maple Leafs, and honestly, we should have seen this coming for tonight, is whenever they are supposed to do something, they don't. Whenever they're supposed to meet a moment, whenever they're supposed to bounce back, whenever they're supposed to play better with more intensity, with more passion, with more physicality, they don't. Whenever they're supposed to live up to expectations in a Game 7, they don't. Now, we've had the game where they were supposed to play better and didn't, so now, Friday, they will. That's how it always goes with this team. And look, I'm fully expecting that we're going to get to November and suddenly the switch is going to be flipped and this team will rattle off 7 of 9. But for now, this team sucks in October. And I said it after the Detroit games. This team is not built for October hockey at all. At all. They're slow, they're heavy, the game is too fast, too wide open right now. This is not the Leafs brand of hockey. We know that. So I'm not expecting them to be good in October. I'm not honestly expecting them to be great in November, but it's this weird thing where the Leafs are always good in November and December, and then they tail off in January again. And if we know one thing about the Leafs, aside from that they never live up to what they're supposed to do, they are painfully predictable. So, you know what? Let's play a game. I'm going to predict the next week and a half for the Leafs hockey. Watch this. And we're going to check back on this. Friday, they play the Sabres. They are going to win that one in Buffalo. Then Saturday, they play the Sabres again. They are going to lose that one. They'll definitely lose that one at home with Primo and net. And then on Tuesday, they play the Flames. The Flames are last place in the league. They'll win that one. They'll win that one. That's okay, fine. But then Wednesday in Columbus, they are absolutely losing that one. And then we're going to be at the end of October. We're going to get into November, and then they'll wake up again. They're going to split against the Sabres, and then they're going to beat Calgary, lose to Columbus. I can almost guarantee it. They are so painfully predictable. And I wouldn't be shocked if they lost to Calgary either. With that being said, I'm going to turn us over to our third segment. Just a reminder to hit that like button and subscribe to Game Over Toronto, as we are a small channel, and anything that you can do to help us grow would be greatly appreciated. And again, hit and like, hit and subscribe. It takes 2 seconds, and it does really help the channel grow. In this third segment, I'll be honest, admittedly, I did not necessarily plan out what this other segment would be because, like I said to start the second segment, I've just been so apathetic towards the Leafs. I've just been, it's hard to get motivated about them right now. I will say, it looks like Chris Tanev is going to miss time, per Craig Berube. The Leafs media, remember what I said about the Leafs media starting to not care? I've barely seen any quotes. Oh, here's one from Berube. I don't think speed is an issue on our team. When we play the right way, we play direct, we look fast. But when we want to not play that way, we look slow. That's what. Oh wow. So Berube is just saying they did not try. They did not try. Okay, fair. I kind of don't want the Leafs to do well. If they were 6-0, I'd be jumping up and yelling cup. Now I'm expecting they will play better in the playoffs. Ramelli, yeah, they do have to make the playoffs first. The Leafs are more built for playoff hockey than October hockey, sure. However, the Leafs are only built for playoff hockey until it matters most. That's the thing. They'll win 3 games at least. Would you take... when it comes down to it, in a Game 7, we know what's going to happen. The most free way to make money is just bet on the Leafs opponent in 7. Little question. If a trade could be made, would you have Kadri back? The Leafs have no assets to trade for Kadri. What are they going to trade? You're not trading Easton Cowan. And beyond that, the Leafs don't have first-round picks because they traded them for Carlo and Lawton last year, which, oh my lord, that looks like even more of a disaster now than it did. And the Flames wouldn't be interested in anything else the Leafs have. So, while in a hypothetical, I would like Kadri back. Sure. That'd be fun. I don't love the contract, the term on the contract specifically, but in a vacuum, I could be talked into it. The Flames would never trade him to... First of all, the Flames will never trade with the Leafs because of that weird grudge that Murray Edwards has with Brad Treliving. And second of all, the Flames, even if that didn't happen, didn't exist, and the Flames were willing to make a trade with the Leafs, which they're not, the Flames wouldn't be willing... the Leafs don't have anything to offer the Flames for Kadri. So I appreciate the question and the sentiment, but unfortunately, it's just... they're not good trade partners. I do want to say for this third segment, what I will talk about is the lack of direct action. I don't need to rehash the problems with the Leafs, not being physical enough, not getting to the net, not clearing the front of their own net, not defending the middle of the ice as well as they claim that they want to. These guys don't shoot. Ever. And that is especially evident on the power play. When the Leafs get a power play, they are still way too comfortable. Just for the love of God, put the puck on net. I don't know how... There was such a embarrassing sequence at the end where the final power play, there's 3 minutes left in the game, maybe less. There might have been 2 minutes left in the game. The second unit comes out because the top guys are tired of bag skating back and forth because they keep losing it and having the puck dumped down the ice on them. And the second unit comes out, and Matias Michelli gets the puck, heading downhill, looking to shoot, and no one is within 10 feet of the net. There's no traffic in front. No one is even going to the front of the net. The closest guy was, I think, Bobby McMahon was skating away for some reason on that play, and Nick Robertson was skating into the slot and was doing nothing. It was the most embarrassing thing I've seen. You're on the power play with 2 minutes left. You can't pull the goalie because you can't get set up on a power play. And then you have one of your guys on the flank who is a playmaker who's trying to find a backdoor option or send a pass through, and nobody is even close to the net. Anthony Stolar said on Saturday that other goalies get to play catch against the Leafs. Nothing changed. Nothing changed. That's how I feel about the Leafs. Eastern Conference Cup final, capable talent, but you don't have that war dog. Devils, as great as they are looking, are one of the most punchable/pushable teams in the league, and that's coming from a Devils fan. Yeah, the Devils are a very talented team. I really like the Devils, but the Devils have the exact same problem that the Hurricanes do, which is you are incredibly skilled, you control possession extremely well, and then when it counts, you're going to get bullied, you're going to lose. The Devils might win a round, maybe 2 if they meet Carolina in round 2, and then you're going to play whichever Atlantic team, whether it's Florida, Tampa, whomever, and lose. Because at some point, we know that we're not oblivious, right? We've all watched the playoffs over the last couple of years. We've seen the Panthers go on this crazy run of making 3 straight finals. Before that, Tampa made 3 straight finals. And those teams were like, they will just kill you with their like the and Vegas as well with how big their defense is. Like it's the blueprint is there. And so we know how that story is going to go. 9 of you in here, feel free to hit like and subscribe, folks. Welcome into the program. I'm going to turn us over to our final segment now. This is the part of the show where we invite your questions. So any questions at all about the Leafs, although we do have at least one Devils fan in here. So any questions in general for this last segment, feel free to ask them. There's 9 of you watching, so I better see a couple of questions in the chat from you guys. Thank you all so much for being here this evening after a truly, truly horrible game. I'm surprised that you guys even want to be here. Like, I would be, if I was just a fan and I wasn't doing this show, I would have been like, all right, that's enough Leafs for tonight. But I appreciate you guys being here nonetheless. And again, reminder to hit like and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter, the Game Over Network. You can find me at Zach Payne 41 on Twitter and Bluesky and YouTube. And okay, let's get into it. And Toronto, if they had that dog in them, should actually have been trying to crush, but no, not a lot of times during the game. I was like, wait, you're just going to let them have it? Yeah, the Leafs, there were so many times. I was going through this thought experiment in my head, and I was like, okay, let's say that Jack Hughes is skating up the wall, and we put Tom Wilson out there and line up a hit that we know Tom Wilson would destroy Jack Hughes on. Like, for example. And if we put every single player on the Leafs roster, how many of them would also step up and make a hit similar to that? Maybe Jake McCabe. Maybe Simon Benoit. That's it. That's it. Because these guys are, for as big as they are, heaviest team in the league. And they are Charmin Ultra Soft. Leafs Mount Rushmore. Okay, this is difficult. So Sundin would have to be up there. For sure. Oh man. I'm trying to think of any modern Leafs that, like, because obviously Matthews is going to be, like, within 3 to 4 years, Matthews will be the Leafs' all-time leading scorer. So it's kind of hard to not put him on there, but I also just bashed him for like 20 minutes, so I don't want to turn around and be like, Leafs Mount Rushmore, Austin Matthews, because I just kind of was trashing him. Sundin would have to be up there. Oh man. I don't even know. You guys help me out in the chat. Who would you put on your Leafs Mount Rushmore? Let's think about this. Cujo, Tucker, Domi. Cujo, I agree with. Tucker and Domi, I think their impact was a lot more like they were obviously fan favorites, but I don't know if they had the actual production to be on the Leafs Mount Rushmore. Salming, yeah, Salming's a good one. That's a really good one. RIP, by the way, to Boris Salming. So, okay, so Salming, Cujo, Sundin, Dougie? I know Dougie didn't play here the longest. Or it'd probably be someone from like the 50s. Right? Oh, Sittler though too. Oh, Keon. Oh man, okay, now we got to narrow this down. Belfour? Yeah. We can only have one goalie on there, I think. Okay, we got to narrow this down. I'm going to have you guys, let's have a vote here, guys. So between Sittler, Sundin, Salming, and Keon would probably be the easy answers. Like, that's probably the easy top 4. Bauer, oh yeah, man. I guess, but all the guys from it's tough because if we are just going pound for pound skill, like the most talented Leaf of all time, it would be Matthews because he plays in the modern era, and the modern era is more skilled than the 90s and early 2000s were. And Matthews is going to be the highest scorer in Leafs history. So if it was just pound for pound skill, The problem when you look at like Leafs history is you want to be like, oh, because the knock against Matthews is he doesn't have the playoff success. But if you look at the Leafs history, no one has the playoff success. So Matthews almost has to be in there by default because it's not like other people have won cups. Nylander, I mean, Nylander's probably going to finish as the second highest scoring Leaf of all time behind Matthews. Marner, get out of here. Ramelli, get out of here. Out of here. Although pound for pound skill, Marner would also be up there. But again, it's not just about talent. So I think we're in agreement that Salming is a lock, right? Salming's a lock. Any objections to that? Then Sittler. Bauer won cups. I know that, like, Bauer, yeah, you could put, but that was way back when there was like 6 teams. To be honest, unless he does anything bad, I might even go for Matthews on that. Plus, Matthews represents 21st century Leafs, maybe the best. And I believe he's got the season most goals in Leafs history. He's got like the 2 most. He's the only Leaf to score 60 goals, and he's done it twice. And Matthews within, like, by Christmas, Matthews is going to be the highest scoring Leaf of all time. He needs like 15 goals to catch Sundin for the most in Leafs history. So like Matthews is on that list. Sometimes with the Mount Rushmore, I'd go for like era representation. Okay, so if we want to say Bauer for like the 50s or like 50s, 60s, then Salming, and then like Sittler / Gilmore / Sundin Matthews. Anyone hate that list? I know I listed 3 people, but Tavares, I don't think Tavares is on the Mount Rushmore. He's been great, and I love him, but he's not quite in that tier, I don't think. He'll probably go down as a top 20 Leaf of all time, but I don't think he's top 4. That was a surprisingly difficult question. I did not think, because on the surface I was like, oh, this will be easy, and then I was like, oh wait, all those stupid guys from the 50s. I don't hate that list. Okay, well, Matthew, you got to help me. Between Sittler, Sundin, and Gilmore, pick one of those 3. And then Bauer. Okay, so Bauer, Salming, Sundin, Matthews. That's one from Ramelli. Okay. Anyone object to that? Tavares would be more mascot. Oh, no. We will keep Carlton the Bear. Thank you very much. Who would be the mascot on that? I don't even know. I'm not going to get into that. And whichever of Sundin, Gilmore, and Sittler you don't have, those would be the honorable mentions, as well as Keon. Keon is also an honorable. Like, Keon or Bauer, you can go back and forth. Sundin, we're in agreement on Sundin. Okay, so Bauer, Salming, Sundin, Matthews. That's our Mount Rushmore. Not the best ever, but in terms of representing every era, I think that's in terms of representing every era of Leafs hockey, you've got one era of success well before any of us were born, and then you've got like all of the eras of failure properly accounted for. Well, mascot as in he has that sort of dream story. Carlton is adorable forever mascot, but yeah, Tavares and his Leafs sheets. I love how did we ever turn that into a pajamas thing? It was Leafs bed sheets, and we were all like, look at him in his pajamas. Has no one ever seen a sheet before? Okay, let me circle back to this. Matthew, would you put Cowan back in? I think Cowan's gonna get sent down, honestly. I think we're at the point where Cowan, now that he's out of the lineup again, like, maybe they put him back in, but I think he's going to get sent down. I think, like, Berube doesn't trust him, and I talked about that in the last 2 streams. Like, if you're not going to trust him, why is he on the top line? And so Berube was like, okay, he's gone. And I think he's going to get sent down, which is going to be good for him. It was nice to see him, but I think he'll be with the Marlies playing 20 minutes, and then we can either see him later this year if injuries happen, or more likely next year as a permanent fixture in the lineup. Gilmore came the closest. Stupid Gretzky. It was absolutely a high stick. sometimes I would defend the Leafs and say, yeah, there's the whole 1967 insult, but didn't you guys have abysmal ownership for 30 years? That's sometimes just crap luck management. Yes. What's his stupid name? Harold Ballard. The Harold Ballard era. If you want to go research horrible sports owners, go research the Harold Ballard era. It was a travesty. Jeez, man, Jack Hughes took a dump on us. Yes, he did. He absolutely did. Credit Jack Hughes. Very good player. He skated circles around the team tonight. It was tough to watch. Tough to watch. But yeah. So Pyro, I know you're a Devils fan. Go research that Ballard era. And you will find some truly heinous stuff in there. Some of those stories are crazy. Okay. With that being said, if you guys have any last second questions, then feel free to put them in the chat real quick. If not, I'm going to start to wrap up the show. So thank you so much to everyone who has tuned in tonight. There's 9 of you here. Remember to hit like and subscribe. It takes 2 seconds, helps the channel grow. I will be back Friday night after Leafs Sabres. I don't know. That game start time is going to be subject to change, as well as Saturdays, because of the World Series with the Blue Jays. Obviously, the Leafs' next 5 games conflict with World Series games. So I think the Leafs and the league are going to try to work on the start times to make sure that Toronto sports fans don't miss out on the Blue Jays, because obviously they want to retain their Leafs viewership because they know everyone's going to watch the Blue Jays in the final, as they absolutely should. So just make sure that you're paying attention. The start times might change over the next week and a bit. Be aware of that. Regardless, I will be back after every single game doing these post-game streams. And thank you so much to everyone for tuning in and interacting with me in the chat. It's a pleasure to do this as always, because at the end of the day, that's why we do this live, is so that we can talk to you guys and get your opinions on the show as well. Thanks for being cool. Hopefully we'll catch you later on. I got a bunch of Leaf friends, so sometimes hear stuff about the Leafs time to time. And to be honest, a lot nicer to hang around than the Devils fans right now. That is incredibly surprising. Regardless, you can find me at Zach Payne 41 on Twitter, Bluesky, and YouTube. Make sure to go say hi to me over there as well. And follow the Game Over Network on social media at the Game Over Network. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care, everyone. Cheers. And let's go Blue Jays.